Welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Wednesday, May 1st, 2024, commonly known as May Day, celebrated in many countries as a day to commemorate workers' rights and the labor movement that established the 8-hour workday. Hallelujah! It's also a day filled with pagan traditions of folk dance and festivals, officially recognizing the arrival of spring, which actually arrived more than 40 days ago, but we do still have 50 days of spring until summer arrives. It's also a big day for high school athletes, National College Decision Day, also known as College Signing Day, a very exciting day for students and parents alike. And that is the perfect segue to the demonstrations, the protests, the madness now happening on more than 100 college campuses across the country, maybe closer to 200 at this point. Overnight in LA at UCLA, Israeli supporters and pro-Palestinian demonstrators got violent with each other. In New York, police finally entered the building on the campus of Columbia University that had been occupied by student protesters all day, something that was heavily covered throughout the day. Dozens of people were arrested overnight. Nearly 1,000 arrests have been made at universities nationwide in the last week or two. This will continue to be a big story on most of the shows today. Then I'll get into the Trump trial, the rally, and other headlines. Yes, Trump has 2 rallies on the schedule, but we start with last night's Rob Schmitt Tonight.
It was a wild night at Columbia University here in New York. The spoiled little Marxists with their very fashionable Free Gaza / Death to Israel protests escalated the situation dramatically, breaking and entering into a lecture hall in the middle of the night, occupying the building, holding it all day today. It was something to see. The move likely didn't affect too much, as all classes are now remote because of these kids. The alleged adults have decided to fully capitulate to the Marxist freak show we're seeing. Radical, racist, uneducated, obnoxious brats hiding their faces so they can still get a job at a Manhattan law firm in about 18 months. The students now calling for an intifada, a phrase used to describe events like October 7th being screamed by this deranged mob of babies. This afternoon, one of the leaders came out of the academic hall that her group violently occupied and demanded the university provide them with catering. Take a listen.
I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
The most spoiled and obnoxious kids you ever saw, attempting to cast themselves as part of the suffering by alleging at an Ivy League school that they need humanitarian aid.
It didn't take long for the whole country to know almost everything about that young lady through her social media accounts, which Rob talked about, along with some other Columbia students.
To make these people even more insufferable, these masked anarchists that they like to call themselves are working both sides of this, showing their civil disobedience while covering their butts at the same time. Quote, part of the playbook involves leveraging outside activists, including activist attorneys, to overwhelm campuses while shielding students from any legal blowback. So it's free Palestine, it's down with Israel, it's we are Hamas, death to Israel, as long as I don't miss the EDM festival this weekend. Yeah. Former Obama advisor Larry Summers actually had a good point on that. Let's play it.
They feel what they're doing is profoundly just. But they should recognize, as Martin Luther King did and as Gandhi did, that accepting punishment, even severe punishment, was part of the act of civil disobedience rather than trying to rally allies to insist that they will not be disciplined.
Yeah, because they're just brats, the least inspiring, most obnoxious, spoiled, grown-up babies you could ever imagine. And these universities with centuries of history and credibility, billions in endowments, buildings that educated the leaders of the greatest country in the world, are capitulating to them as fast as they can because they're completely rotted, because most of their faculty agrees with these kids. Let's be honest. They're the ones who indoctrinated them in the first place.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Rob. It was a bit of a different scene at the university in South Florida in Tampa yesterday, where school officials came out and told the protesters face to face that they could protest or demonstrate until 5 p.m. Of course, they ignored the 5 p.m. deadline, so of course, the sheriff's office moved in.
You have been given a lawful order to disperse. You have refused to follow this lawful order. At this time, please consider yourself under arrest for refusing to disperse. Please do not resist arrest or any other law enforcement action.
Consider yourself under arrest for refusing to disperse. Please do not resist arrest or any other law enforcement action. That's what the announcement was saying from one of the sheriff's deputies. A little while later, tear gas was used to disperse the crowd, and dozens of people were arrested. The police do not play in Florida. Ronnie D isn't going to stand for it. Katrina Zish had the White House response on American Agenda and spoke about it with Florida Congressman Byron Donalds.
Now, during an online press briefing earlier today, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said, quote, "The president believes that forcibly taking over a building on campus is absolutely the wrong approach. This is not an example of a peaceful protest."
That's it. That's all he said there. Should the administration, though, be doing more to stop this?
And joining us now to discuss, Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us on American Agenda this afternoon. Now, we heard from John Kirby today, as we mentioned, and White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, telling us what President Biden believes regarding these anti-Israel protests. But shouldn't we be hearing directly from the president now that approximately 100 American colleges and universities are involved?
It's good to be with you. We absolutely should be hearing from President Biden. But the reason why we don't is because he dithers. He's late to the game. He does not lead. He's always late to these crises as they come up. Just look at everything else that's gone wrong in America. So he should be speaking directly to the American people, especially to these college students. But he won't, because the man is not a leader. And that is fundamentally what is wrong in the United States today. Contrast that with President Trump. You already know President Trump would have spoken directly to what's happening on these campuses, because this is a disgrace. Students should be allowed to go and get their education, not be interrupted by protesters. We all believe in free speech. You should be able to go and protest, say whatever you feel. I will protect that with every fiber of my being. But when you impede other people from doing what they need to do in their lives, that is when you cross the line. The stuff about stopping people on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, a travesty. What's happening on college campuses, disgusting. The President Biden, will not speak to this, because the man is not a leader. We need real leadership in our country. That comes in the form of Donald J. Trump.
Congressman, how much is it, though, that President Biden doesn't want to say anything because he'll lose votes? A lot of these voters are people in this crowd that would typically vote Democrat here. If he says even the slightest thing negative about them, he might not get their vote. What do you think about that?
Well, that's not my problem. The man is a coward. You have students who can't go to class. You have Jewish students who are being assaulted. They're being intimidated. That is wrong. So if you want to be the leader of the free world, Joe Biden, step up and be a leader. If you don't, go ahead and leave or get defeated in November. Either way is fine by me, but the man has not led. So yes, he's afraid of losing votes because he's not a leader. His agenda sucks. He's led the country in the worst way possible. Our enemies are laughing at us. Our allies are looking at us and saying, what the heck is going on at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? And you're seeing this unfold on college campuses, but you're also seeing it in the grocery store every single day. And the humanitarian crisis at our southern border has happened through his entire administration. The man doesn't care.
Florida Congressman Byron Donalds also not mincing words or pulling punches. The agenda sucks. Biden is not a leader. He's a coward. Byron Donalds is still on President Trump's list of potential running mates, by the way. And the former president's trial is, of course, the other big story. The judge hitting Trump yesterday with $9,000 in fines for violating the gag order. $1,000 per incident, 9 incidents, the maximum amount that he could be fined. As he has done since the beginning of the trial, Trump spoke outside the courtroom on Tuesday.
Is not only unique, it's totally unconstitutional. I'm the Republican candidate for President of the United States. I received this honor in record time. Nobody's ever gone faster. It's never happened. Nobody's ever got the numbers that we got. And I'm sitting in a courthouse all day long listening to this stuff. And everybody knows, as far as everybody is concerned, if you read the great legal scholars and experts, everybody said this is a trial that is nonsense. It should have never been brought. That's showing loud and clear. But you have a judge who's totally conflicted, totally, absolutely conflicted, that he's rushing this case through. I'll tell you what, somebody just told me they'd never sat for such a long period of time in a courthouse before. It's ridiculous. I'm supposed to be in Georgia. I'm supposed to be in New Hampshire. I'm supposed to be in Ohio and lots of other places. And they have me sitting here for a Biden trial. It's a Biden trial. And I never saw so many prosecutors. They're all sitting in the room over nothing, over absolutely nothing. There's no crime. There's no anything here. And that's what these legal scholars say. How can you bring a case like this? Bragg didn't want to bring it. Bragg is the guy bringing it, and he didn't want to bring it. Went to every agency just about in law enforcement. They all turned it down as a joke. And I'm sitting here because that's exactly what they want. They don't want me on the campaign trail. But it's a real disgrace. And the whole world is watching. It's a disgrace to New York. And just like Engoron is a disgrace to New York, we won that case because we won it on statute of limitations. And he turned down the appellate division. That's another case. It's all the same. He turned down the appellate division's decision. They gave a decision that gave me mostly a win. Just about the whole thing was a win. And he turned it down. He's a corrupt judge. And this judge is terrible. And Kaplan is terrible. Gave a person, I have no idea who she is, $91 million. This is a corrupt system we're in. And I think the people are understanding it. If you look at the polls, the people of our country are understanding it. Thank you very much.
Former President Donald Trump outside the New York courtroom yesterday. Trump is not in court today. I mentioned this back on Monday that Judge Merchan is using Wednesdays as a work day for other things, so Trump is hitting the campaign trail with a rally in Wisconsin this afternoon and another in Michigan tonight. He is also scheduled to be in Wildwood, New Jersey on Saturday. Mark your calendar. Lara Trump, co-chair of the RNC, spoke with our Carl Higbie.
Here's a brand new poll from Emerson that shows Donald Trump ahead of Biden in 6 key battleground states. Now, the margins in some are tight, but Trump holds a single-digit lead in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. So, joining me to discuss, RNC co-chair Lara Trump. All right, Lara, the Biden campaign seems like surprised by this. It's like, dude, the guy has done a terrible job.
He's done a terrible job, Carl, and it's not just that you have to take anyone's word for it. People feel it. I think that's the difference now. You know, you hear these talking points coming out of the White House and all their TikTok influencers saying, life is great. Isn't everything wonderful right now? And the truth is, you can't lie to people when they don't have the same amount of money in their pocket. When, as you just pointed out, since Joe Biden took office, life is 20% more expensive on average for everybody across the country. When we're sending our money overseas because we're on the verge of World War III, when they see an open southern border and the people who are coming in illegally are then being given debit cards full of cash put up at hotels in New York City and other cities all across the country, people see it and they feel it in their bottom line. And that is the problem that Joe Biden has. We have a really incredible opportunity this election cycle, something we haven't had really ever in our lifetime, which is to compare 2 presidents and 2 presidencies. We've never had that opportunity, but the Biden team has a huge hill to climb because people remember when Donald Trump was in office. They remember the historic tax breaks that we got as a country. They remember the peace agreements instead of wars in the Middle East, trade agreements with Canada, Mexico, and China. They remember all of the positives that happened under Donald Trump, like energy independence. And you can't fake those things and lie to people about them.
That's Lara Trump on Newsmax. And this was a big talking point or laughing point in the media Tuesday as well.
MSNBC and Nicole Wallace is in full spin mode. Watch this.
Depending on what happens in November, 7 months from right now, this time next year, I might not be sitting here. There might not be a White House Correspondents' Dinner or a free press.
That is just such garbage. Like, there is no evidence that guy was more accessible to the press than any president in the history of ever. He stopped for a press conference randomly on his way to the bathroom.
Yeah, no, exactly. You had the utmost transparency with Donald Trump as president. It's the exact opposite right now, by the way. You have the New York Times begging Joe Biden for any sort of information, and they're even finally knocking this guy. That tells you how bad it has gotten out there. But we had 4 years of Donald Trump doing just that. The fact is, Carl, as we're discussing, they really don't have any policies to run on. They don't have anything to show positively that Joe Biden and the Democrats have done for the American people. So this is their tactic now. It's fear-mongering. It's scare tactics. It's literally all they have left. So get ready to see a lot more of that, because as we head towards November and as it becomes clear that Donald Trump will become the 47th president, they're going to go into full-blown panic mode, and you're going to hear a lot more of this hot garbage out there.
Lara Trump, now co-chair of the RNC, on Frontline with Carl Higbie. That is weekdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, by the way. Yes, the guy who ran on having the most transparent administration ever is the least transparent ever. When you're a news anchor anywhere, you have to cover every presidential news conference, official or not official, as breaking news. And during the Trump presidency, we literally used to pray sometimes that he would take one day off, or at least one afternoon, because it was breaking news after breaking news after breaking news. He spoke with the media and to the country, to the people, more than any other president ever. And honestly, I know this for a fact because I have 20-something-year-olds. That's one of the reasons that so many young people like him. How accessible he is. When he shows up at UFC events, which is wildly popular with younger people. When he showed up at college football games. When he showed up at the Daytona 500 and did the lap around the track with the motorcade. They're like, Trump is lit. Even some of the young liberals are like, yeah, Trump is low-key kind of lit. And if you have kids that age, or if you are that age, you know exactly what I'm talking about. By the way, Vice President Kamala Harris is in Florida today. She's talking up abortion in Jacksonville as Florida's 6-week abortion ban takes effect. And I seriously doubt that the governor met her at the airport. I just mentioned younger voters. This is definitely going to be an issue in the campaign with younger voters. And Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier today. Part of the conversation based around hostages. Remember that? Hamas still has hostages, which many people believe that most of them have been killed. And let's wrap it up with a segment from Newsmax's National Report with Sean Kreisman and Emma Reckenberg featuring a great community story, a heartwarming story from right here in my community of Orlando, Florida.
Young boy with end-stage kidney disease getting his dream turned into reality when the Orlando Police Department and the Make-A-Wish Foundation teaming up to make him an honorary police officer for the day, and that is Stone Hicks. He was given a special uniform, a badge, and a patrol car ride-along to make him feel like a true member of the force.
The department also organizing a special swearing-in ceremony for the young boy where he took an oath to uphold the law and protect the community, also receiving an award of recognition with a proclamation sent to him by Orlando's Mayor Buddy Dyer. Just an incredible day.
Yeah, it really is. And one of the men who helped do this put this together, Eric Smith, the Orlando Police Chief. Chief, good to see you. And it really does. It touches everyone's heart. So watching this little boy receive the opportunity of a lifetime to serve. Can you talk about how this came together and really your feeling behind watching this and knowing that this was this little boy's dream?
So, how it came to me was we have our meetings when we talk about what community events are coming up. This one actually made me sit up in my chair when they said Make-A-Wish wanted to make a 4-year-old who was fighting kidney disease, his dream come true. And that totally touched me. I said, we have to do it. Make-A-Wish Central Florida, North Florida, reached out to us and to just take part in this. And the greatest thing about this, he's actually from our community. And he's interacted with the Orlando police officers, so he's seen us. And, it's just such a great thing to make his wish come true. It totally touched me and my whole department.
4-year-old Stone also got to participate in arresting a would-be dog burglar.
Chief, this is an incredible moment. Talk to us about what it was like to see it firsthand.
It was amazing to see his smile and see him light up. He's been through so much in his life, and just to give him a great day was amazing for us. I mean, all our partners came together, Orlando City Soccer, Orlando Magic, Chick-fil-A, and we all came together, and the community really came together to give him a great day. He's had so much struggles in his life, and I was all about, whatever can we do to make him happy for a day, give him a great day in his life.
That's Orlando Police Chief Eric Smith on National Report. I can tell you the Orlando Police Department dedicates an enormous amount of resources and time to community outreach and community events. They do a fantastic job of getting out and getting involved in the community, as well as laying down the law. On Wall Street, we have more red numbers ahead of today's interest rate announcement from the Federal Reserve. Interest rates, as I discussed yesterday, are not expected to change, but all ears will be on what Jerome Powell says, and hopefully it will be something to help propel the markets and not tank the markets. Amazon is one of the stocks trading higher today off of its mostly positive earnings report late yesterday. There are more earnings from more marquee companies today and tomorrow. Stay up to date and informed on all the news all day with Newsmax, available on most major cable systems like AT&T, Comcast, Mediacom, Optimum, Spectrum, and many, many others, as well as Dish and DirecTV. Thank you for listening to the Newsmax Daily. I'm Tony Marino. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, May Day, and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.